Hi, I'm Paula from Happy Yoga Wales, and this is my personal go-to practice for the mornings. So quite often in the mornings I feel a little bit tired and I don't really feel like getting straight into a full yoga practice, a flow of vinyasa. So my go-to practice is using the wall, starting with some yin, so holding our poses for a couple of minutes and then moving into some very gentle movements. So this is only going to be a very short practice, suitable for all levels. The only prop you're going to need is a wall. So let's get started. I've got my coffee, so have a nice warm drink nearby if that's your thing too. So we're going to spin ourselves around and start in a squat on the wall. So the best way to get onto the wall is get your hips as close as you can, leaning on one side, and then as gracefully as possible, spin yourself around. So the closer your hips are to the wall, the deeper this squat is going to be. And also the closer your feet are down towards the hips, the more you're going to feel this in the ankles, as well as through the knees and hips. So there shouldn't be any pain in the knees, but it will be a deep compression. So lengthen the tailbone here and just find a place where you can feel the stretch. I'm going to shuffle a little bit closer. And just lengthen through the back of the neck, bring the shoulder blades underneath you, and just relax here. So really letting gravity do all the work. And if you want a little bit extra today, then you could even add a little wrist stretch here. So there's a couple of options. The first one is to bring the hands to prayer and just rest here with the thumbs on the sternum. Or you could target the back of the wrists and place the fingers down towards the ground and just gently place the back of the hands onto the rib cage. I'm going to go for this one as this feels a little bit more relaxing. And we're just going to be here for about 2 minutes. And it is early morning for me, very early. So just easing in. Noticing the breath. Feel free to close the eyes and just keep that gentle focus on wherever you feel the breath most naturally. Taking a little scan through the legs. Checking to see whether you're engaging any muscles there. Maybe you can just relax them a little bit more. So the toes, the calves, the thighs and the hips just sinking down. And if you're not familiar with yin yoga, holding these poses for a long time like this in a very passive way where there's very little effort really targets the connective tissues. And the morning is the perfect time to do this when the muscles are still cold. And then just taking a big breath in here. Inhale. And sigh out through the mouth. Well, that felt good. Let's do one more of those. Big breath in, fill all the way up. And sigh out. Very nice. Okay, so from here we're just going to straighten the legs and we're going to come into a straddle pose. So this doesn't have to be really wide. So remember, with our yin practice, you don't want to go to your deepest stretch, just somewhere that is comfortable where you can feel the sensation. So I like to roll the thighs out while the knees are still bent. So you're rolling the thighs away from the center of the body and then just gently start to straighten the legs. And you could even slide a block here underneath the hips just to raise the hips a little bit higher and allow that pelvis to tilt forwards. Forwards and backwards are getting confused because I'm upside down. So again, just settle in here. And then this time, if you want a little extra stretch for the upper body, then bringing the shoulder blades underneath, again lengthening the back of the neck. You could take the arms either overhead, if that's comfortable, in the shoulders, or you could bend the elbows a little bit more and find this cactus shape. So again, really passive here, just letting gravity do all the work. Breathing deeply into the belly if you can. And if you feel like you might fall asleep if you've only just woken up, then maybe keep the eyes open, just gazing past the tip of the nose. For our last few breaths here, scanning the body, relaxing through the forehead, all the muscles in the face, releasing the jaw, checking in with the shoulders, just relaxing, softening there. And then when you're ready, taking that big breath in. And exhale, sigh it out. Let's do one more big breath in. And let it all go. And so to come out of this straddle pose, just reach the hands behind the knees and slide the legs back towards each other, bending the knees as you go. If you're on a block here, then just lift the hips and slide that out from underneath you. And if you don't have a block, I didn't say before, but you can always use a cushion or a pillow under the hips instead. Okay, so we're going to come into a reclined pigeon pose, half pigeon pose. So again, the higher up your supporting leg, the less intense this is going to be. You're going to take your right leg and then cross it over the left, so your ankle rests just above the knee. And then again, just rolling that thigh, so the right thigh out away from you, finding some space here. Flexing the ankle so the toes come back towards the knee. And if that doesn't feel like much of a stretch, you can start to just slide your supporting leg down the wall a little bit. And you'll notice here that if you move your hips over to the left, then it's less intense. Moving the hips over to the right, you can feel that a little bit more. So just finding the place that feels right for you, somewhere you can stay comfortably, and just letting the supporting leg, the leg that's on the wall, do all the work here. And again, with the hands, you can just rest here with the arms out to the side. Maybe you want to bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, and just relax in here. So this is going to be our last yin pose, and we'll take this on the other side in just about a minute. If you notice the body start to open up and the stretch become less intense, you can just gently slide that foot down, find a little bit more of a stretch. But again, just going to that comfortable edge, never pushing, never forcing. And then when you're ready, take a big breath in. And exhale, sigh it out. One more big breath in. So just sliding that left leg up the wall, feeling all those juicy sensations as you go, straightening through the right leg. Just pausing here a moment, noticing the difference from one hip to the other. Maybe you can feel a little bit of heat through that right hip. And then when you're ready, we're going to take that same pose on the other side. So taking your left knee away from the center of the body, so we're externally rotating through this left hip. And then flexing the foot so the toes come back to the knees. Sliding your right foot down just as much as is comfortable. So this side feels a lot tighter for me, so don't feel like you have to have this supporting leg in exactly the same position on both sides. So working with each side of the body individually, finding that place that feels good. And for this one, I'm going to take my arms overhead again, so stretching through the chest. Feel free to do whatever feels good to you. Again, maybe that sensation is starting to ease off just a little bit. If that's the case, you can slide your right foot down just a little bit, or maybe just shift the hips to increase the sensation. So these connective tissues, they really take time to open up. And that's why our yin practice is so beneficial for our joints, our mobility and our flexibility. You can read more about that in my blog post if you want to head over there. Just taking a few more breaths here. And when you're ready, take a big breath in. Exhale, sigh out. One more, inhale. And let it go. And if the arms are overhead, just sliding them back down and then sliding your right foot up the wall. Uncrossing the legs, just pause in here for a moment, both feet on the floor. You could even take the feet a little bit wider, maybe let the knees come together or just bend. Just noticing how you feel. And then from here, we're just going to roll onto our side. So the way we came in, we're going to come out the same way. So rolling onto our side and then making our way up to a tabletop position. So I'm going to crawl my way over here. Now I've got my socks on. If you feel like you're going to slide with socks on and you're wearing some, then go ahead and take them off now. And we're going to just do a little bit of a flow from here. So with the hands underneath the wrists underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers wide and to relax to speak. And the knees under the hips. And starting with our cat-cow. So inhale, let the belly come down, chest comes forward, squeezing the shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, drawing the belly button in, push the ground away, and just take it easy. If it's early in the morning like it is for me, these movements don't have to be big, but just moving with the breath. So we're exhaling, drawing the belly button in, push the ground away, separate the shoulder blades. Inhale, belly down, chest forwards, into our cow pose. And again, one more of those. And then next time you come into your cat pose, so pushing the ground away, lifting and separating the shoulder blades. If the toes aren't tucked under, tuck them under now. Pause here and take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, press really firmly into the hands, lifting the knees, lifting the hips. And then finding our downward facing dog. So you can pedal out the feet here, bending the knees one at a time. Maybe noticing in this inversion with your head below the heart that you're starting to energize, feel a little bit more awake. Taking some deep breaths here. And then we're going to find a little flow moving with the breath. So inhaling first in our downward facing dog. And then exhale. Inhale, let both knees come down to the mat, find your tabletop. Exhale, bring the big toes together, send the hips back, find your child's pose. So the forehead might touch the floor, maybe it just stays lifted. We're not staying here, we're going to inhale all the way back to tabletop. And then exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So just moving through these simple movements a few more times. So inhale, slowly lowering the knees, finding our tabletop. Exhale, bringing the toes together, sinking the hips down. Maybe the elbows and the forehead touch the floor. If they don't, then that's fine. Just moving in a way that feels good. Inhaling into tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So like I say, this is a little flow that I do most mornings. Inhaling into tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. So really moving the body in all directions. Inhaling, tabletop. And then last time, coming into our downward facing dog. Inhale down to tabletop. Take the knees a little wider if that feels okay. Bring the big toes to touch. Sink the hips back. And then this time, if it's comfortable, walking the hands forwards. You can rest your forehead down on the floor or on a cushion or a block. And just taking a few breaths here in child's pose. And then just walking the fingertips over to the diagonal. So keep pressing the hips back. You can keep the head down on the mat if that's comfortable. And just getting a little side bend here. And then walking back over to the other side, so keeping the chest low to the ground. Reaching through the fingertips, pressing back through that same hip. And then coming back through centre. Reach forwards one more time, find lots of length through the spine. And then walking the hands back in. We're just going to make our way back up to a seat. So sitting in any way that's comfortable, you can sit on a block here. We're just going to finish with a few breaths together. So rolling the shoulders back, lifting tall through the crown of the head. And then bringing the hands to heart centre, resting the thumbs on the sternum, reach a little taller through the crown. Take a big breath in, eyes wide open here, ready for the day. And exhale, sigh it out. Make some noise if it feels good. And again, big breath in. Exhale. One more for luck, big breath. Exhale out. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning for my go-to emergency yoga practice for the mornings. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then please do give me a like and a subscribe, and of course let me know in the comments. And you can always head over to happyyoga.wales, where there's loads and loads of yoga practices, meditations in the on-demand library. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.